I mean, it's like you have this amazing treehouse here.
You want to go up to the treehouse?
Let's check it out.
These stairs weren't here.
Oh my gosh!
It was a rope ladder used to get up in it for my kids when they were, it's actually getting back to 20 years ago. Every complex system grew out of a simple system. No system that started out complex ever developed simplicity later. And there was TCP/IP, which was profoundly simple. And all the big companies were betting on OSI, and TCP/IP won because it was simple. There's a wonderful quote in Lao Tzu where he says, the qualities of the wise man. He goes through this list, alert as a winter farer on an icy stream and so on. We don't always know what to do. And we have to learn to let go and wait for things to mature and find the moment. Knowing when is the time to, await what's next, and when is the time to do nothing. Often, you only notice things when you're able to let go and forget what you already know. This maybe relates to why I like being in the country. There's certain activities that set your mind free. Like I split wood. I heat my house with wood, and I split the wood, and I do a lot of my best thinking when I'm doing this sort of mindless, repetitive activity. And often when we're focused on some other activity, behind the scenes, our mind is able to put the pieces together for us, and then we go, flash of insight.
Satori.
Yeah. You have to be in this state of alertness. Again, when I'm splitting wood, you have to be paying attention, but you're paying attention with only part of your mind, and it lets the rest of your mind go. And I think that letting go moment, again, since you're into Zen, obviously you've probably read Zen and the Art of Archery. It's not, you're not thinking about the target, you're not focusing on the target, you are in that moment of letting go. In playing basketball, people talk about going unconscious. So-and-so was unconscious, which means that he was just so in the zone that he wasn't thinking about what he was doing. And I do think that for all of us, much of our best work, does come from a part that's not our, our pedestrian conscious mind. But I'll also show you, I've got some growing in the back. When I was a kid, I loved this stuff. But it'll take over. It'll become big mounds of stuff. It'll accelerate at some point and totally take over.
Negative space in Sumie, because I'm a brush painter. There's the brush stroke, but there's the space around the brush stroke.
I think that's a good analogy. I think that is a very good analogy.
And it's sometimes the space around the brush stroke can be as important, or if not more important, than the strokes themselves. And so I think you felt the analogy there.
Absolutely. A great example of that are many times there are enabling technologies that get taken for granted. And I think open source software and the internet were in that category for a long time. So that was one of those negative space moments where there was something everybody was focused on. They were focused on the budding commercial activity around the World Wide Web, and wow, I guess it was pre-Google, but it was sort of, they were looking at Yahoo, and they were looking at Amazon, they were looking at eBay, and they were looking at all this stuff. And I'm going, well, guess what? All this depends on a bunch of technology that's not even commercial, it's not even recognized.
What kind of jam do you make?
Plum, blackberry, raspberry, peach. It's a little trick. There's 2 or 3 hacks, if you like, for jam making that are really useful. One is there's one particular brand of pectin. It saves you hours of cooking the jam down. So why don't we go in and make a few?
So for the jam, can people export those settings?
Yeah, I suppose. Because I don't make it in large, I don't make it that often. It's just my wife and I home. It's actually, this is spelt flour, butter, goat butter, as a matter of fact, baking powder, and a little bit of sugar. We'll just make up a few. Buttermilk will create much more frothing. You could throw in yogurt, you could throw in, I sometimes stir in some oatmeal.
Tinker and hack away, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is actually a couple years old. This is strawberry.
Ooh.
But you can see the difference as it gets older, that it starts to turn brown, as opposed to
the strawberries.
the good things in life.
Wonderful.
ValleyZen is a remembering that even technology does not make us immune to the changes and cycles of life.